They were ultimately detained by the security personnel. This is the situation that transpired outside Parliament or close to the gate of Parliament, where a man and a woman were detained by the cops for doing virtually the same thing but outside, raising slogans and also releasing that yellow smoke as a mark of protest. These two protesters were also detained by the Parliament Street Police, and of course all four are in custody. In fact, there are 5 now in custody, 6 on the radar. But let me also give you some more details about these intruders. So the ones inside Parliament, there were 2 of them. Intruder number 1, or one of them, is named Manoranjan, aged 35 and a resident of Mysore, a computer engineer, we're being told by profession. His father has informed CNN News 18 that he was unemployed. There is another intruder inside. We cannot identify which one is this man, but Sagar Sharma, age is unknown. But his is the name that appears on the pass, which was used by the visitors to enter the public gallery. And police are trying to find more details about him. Now let's get you more details about the intruders, but the ones on the outside. So Neelam is this woman who has been nabbed by the police and was caught outside Parliament. 42 years old, hails from Hisar, was apparently living in a PG. The family has also come out to say that they're unaware that she was even in the national capital. And number 4 is Amol Shinde, only 25 years of age and a resident from Latur district in Maharashtra. Now, this incident is big and this has become a massive issue because there is supposed to be multi-layer security as far as Indian Parliament is concerned. So take a look at what all these intruders managed to breach today. First up, there is of course metal detectors and frisking, which is at the very main gate of Parliament. Then there is another frisking point which is at the entry gate of the Parliament building itself after the main gate. There is also security presence in the corridor leading to the galleries of both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So there are security personnel present there. Mind you, the reason why this is a huge breach is because these people managed to carry those canisters of smoke. Even mobile phones or papers are not allowed inside the visitor gallery. So if these people manage to go through metal detectors of some kind or any other frisking of that kind, it has obviously exposed a lacuna in how they managed to do so and smuggle things inside. Allegedly, they did so by hiding these canisters inside their shoes. The question we ask is simply this. Today is December 13, 22 years after the attack in 2001. Why is the Indian Parliament still vulnerable? Because this attack could have been much, much worse.
जैसे उसको पकड़ा उसके बाद उसने तुरंत जो है गैस छोड़ी है, एक जो है येलो कलर की गैस थी। दूसरे वाले जो पीछे था उसने भी गैस छोड़ी है। एक बहुत बड़े सुरक्षा का हमारी एक चूक आज हुई है।
मैं आगे क्यों था और मैं पीछे गया, उस लड़के को मैंने रोका, दबोच लिया उसको। और दूसरा लड़का था, उसके हाथ में कोई स्प्रे टाइप का स्प्रे कर रहा था, तो इस लड़के को दबोच जा। तो उसके बाद दबोच के तो उसको ले जा रहे थे और भी सांसद आ गए, सुख सकल में बाद में आ गए। तो इसने कुछ स्प्रे मुझे जुराब और जूते से निकाल के स्प्रे किया।
No doubt, it is a very, very serious security breach. And that breach was caused through a BJP MP from Mysore. We feel very unsafe in the parliament.
होम मिनिस्टर आने के बाद एक स्टेटमेंट दिलाई, क्या हुआ क्या नहीं हुआ, sufficient information not came. That's why the Lok Sabha adjourned.
Hello, Moto.
Let's go across to our guest joining us. Mahima Singh of the Congress Party will be with us in just a bit. Ellen Rao is former DCP Special Cell, Delhi Police. Colonel Rohit Dev is a security expert, and Tushar Gupta, a senior editor, Swaraj Magazine, is also with us. Colonel Rohit Dev, this is a very serious matter and it is bringing back memories of the 2001 attack. What everybody is asking, and naturally, is that it's 22 years since that attack. And the Indian Parliament or our security apparatus has certainly become much wiser and stronger. And yet, 2 individuals managed to sneak in these canisters. This could have been a catastrophic attack.
Yes, I appreciate the concern which we as a nation carry today, and it's a sort of a blot on our security apparatus as well. I will not miss my words there. Having said that, compliments to the parliamentarians who actually were there to pin down those two people as well. Having said that, the breach can happen in two or three probabilities. A canister of this nature is not today a technology governed to have no metallic substance encasing it. So if it had a metal encasing and which was visible in some of the media personnel who got hold of one of those canisters, that means that they would have gone in this. If the same canister was used in the parliament, then how did it penetrate through the metal detectors? It is not possible. And if it is possible, it is only possible due to connivances of people involved. Somebody may have let them go, which is unlikely. Which brings me to the larger question that there needs to be a detailed probe of this entire system, right from when these two people entered the first entry gate till they got on to the visitors, bench there on the top there. There were not many visitors today, as we saw on your channel as well. So I think we need to know that from where and at what point of entry or during their movement in the parliament did they get the possession of these canisters. That are the two probabilities I'm talking about. A, that they came in with the canister and the security was a little lax, and I'm quite sure the detectors pick up. You go to the airport, they have even the door detector, which is normal, which is not the full frame, also picks up your knees and your ankles and your upper torso in terms of the metal content.
But
And at
could it be
times you are told,
possible that these canisters did not have
yes,
metal in them?
it is possible depending on technology, but the one I saw with it's a few TV
Yes.
personnel in the lawns outside somewhere, I think that was metallic in nature. It was getting crushed by that margin, and you could see the texture of the metal there.
Yeah.
Second is India cannot be lax anymore in any form in security, whether it is parliament, government institutions, or ordnance factories, defense installations. And this culture of somebody has signed and ye mantri ka aadmi hai, santri ka aadmi hai, has to go. Right from the president of India, probably can be pardoned because she has got her own security apparatus today, which is more empowering, as she's head of the state. Rest every MP should also go through the same system. You do not know which MP will carry what in their bags to make us look dirty tomorrow in front of the world. I'm quite certain we have this class of people today that we have to be very, very, very careful from
Okay.
that angle as well.
Okay,
So,
Ellen
so,
Rao,
so
former DCP Special Cell, Delhi Police is also joining us. I do want to understand from him, while the Delhi Police is not the only agency that is responsible for security of Parliament inside and outside, there are multiple agencies involved. This is a massive breach because if somebody can smuggle in a canister, which it is expected to be of metal, then what else can be smuggled in? How do you look at first up at this security breach that has happened? Your first thoughts of how something like this can even take place, Mr. Rao?
Yes, ma'am. This is really a very serious security breach which has been noticed by all our Indian people. And definitely it's the same for our country all over world. But as you said that who is responsible, that is the matter which is being probed by that time. But I must
No,
tell you
I'm
what
not
is
asking you who's
there are
responsible.
three
I am
clear
saying
systems
as
in
a police
security.
personnel,
Delhi-
what is your sense? How could something like this happen? Is it that these people were not properly fished, so it was human error and laxity, or is it that the technology failed us? What is your sense?
It is both.
It is both.
Because the searching and frisking is done by the person who are sitting there. Two persons are searching one person there in their system, and the security is of 3 layer, and maybe the equipments which are installed there to search to find out these objectionable items. But this canister might not have been detected by that equipment. So it may be both the equipment failure as well as human failure.
Okay.
I must tell you, Delhi police responsibility of security is outside the boundary wall of security, that parliament.
Right.
Inside inside the parliament, security itself is there, and then CRPF people are with the to assist all these things. So there are three layer of security. Nobody can challenge that 3 layer, but it has been done. That's why the probe is very important to find out what was the motive, how
Mr.
they
Rao,
sneak into that.
Mr. Rao, would it be fair to say that, let's say, if somebody comes into Parliament with a visitor's pass, that pass is generally given at the behest of an MP, that security personnel could be a little bit lax. that they wouldn't imagine that somebody who's acquired a pass from received at least from the office of an MP could not be a suspect? Does it sound more like human error to you that these people were just not frisked properly?
Definitely, it may be possible, because the security person who are searching and frisking and looking at the passes, they are also at least a human being. They might be thinking that that person has been recommended by some particular MP, that they are not so much serious about his identity, or the searching frisking may be slacked in that point. The MPs who are giving such type of passes, they must be very sure the person who is being given such passes.
But that's not something they can do, Mr. Rao, with due respect. The MPs cannot really do any background checking of who they give a pass to. The ultimate responsibility is with the security personnel, both inside and outside Parliament. Mr. Rao wants
that I agree,
yes.
ma'am. But as you asked me, that the person, it's a human error also. Human error means that the person of the security person might have thinking that it has been recommended by MP, that he might not be very serious about it.
But we don't know if that is the case. It could also be that technology failed on both counts. It looks terrible.
There should not be any laxity on the part of security.
Colonel Dev, you wanted to come in very quickly before I go across to Tushar Gupta as well.
So let me tell you, I've been into Parliament a few times. Irrespective of who signs your permission, there are even metal detectors are also in more than 3 layers till you finally enter that Parliament. So all machines do not fail. It's not an error of the MP per se, because MP will give, and after that what you do is your problem. But the security is never lapsed. I, as a veteran, have entered with the same kind of kit I'm wearing today. I have gotten familiar with a couple of guards while walking, because that's my nature as a military man. But each time I have gone, they have frisked me like any other citizen. So it's not to say that there's a laxity. It can happen with one in the chain. It cannot happen with all in the chain. So all the replenishment, logistics of the Parliament, the caterers, everybody else, everything needs to be reassessed in how you're doing it in the new Parliament. I appreciate it's a new Parliament, things are new, your movement of people, vehicles, logistic echelons, your parliamentarians itself is a little different. But I don't think so. In today's age, the equipment is failing you. If the equipment fails you, they always deploy dual checks on you if the equipment has physically failed, to check you physically. So it happens in airports. I'm quite sure it happens in the Parliament as well.
It is definitely a serious matter, Tushar Gupta. And, naturally, there will be a lot of questions asked of the government of the day. Ultimately, security of Indian Parliament is, their domain, and they will have to do the explaining of how something like this has even transpired under their watch. Because security or, better security, a better sense of life and stability in India has been one of the cornerstones of the current BJP government.
Absolutely, Shivani. Look, what happened today in the Parliament has sort of frightened us all, bring back some ugly memories of the terror attacks of 2001. But a detailed investigation is required, because these people appear to be mere pawns in the larger scheme of things, on whose behest they were acting, on whose behest they made their way into the Parliament. Of course, it's easy to narrow down on the MP who issued the visitor pass or who recommended the visitor pass. But I'm sure it's more to do with these people and on whose behest they were acting, who they were representing. Even the slogans they were raising, it was all very disoriented. We are, protesting against the torture of the government. We are against dictatorship. They made absolutely no sense. It appeared these people were just looking for attention. So a larger probe inevitably is required. A detailed investigation is required. And one hopes that authorities are already looking into how these canisters, more importantly, made their way into the house. Because I agree with the fellow panelists also. The security is very layered. It doesn't matter even if the Prime Minister of India has recommended your pass. The security, the way it works inside the Parliament, and you have visited, I have visited, it's very, very layered. There are several, steps one has to go through even as a visitor. So how these canisters made their way, that's one question.
Yeah, I was speaking to a parliamentarian earlier, and he seemed to suggest that they were plastic containers. So maybe that is why they escaped the metal detectors, and maybe we need better quality of detectors so that they can also of detect maybe plastic bodies or products. But I do want to go across to Ravi Srivastava, who's also joining us. Ravi Srivastava, clearly heads will have to roll because the Indian Parliament cannot be left so vulnerable, and it is a shock that even after 22 years of that 2001 attack, the Indian Parliament is still so vulnerable.
Agree with you, Shivani. It's a serious lapse, no doubt. And 22 years before, they invaded the parliament. They entered the parliament and they were surrounded by the security personnel, some of whom lost their lives as well. They were martyrs. Now, this time, they have come with an invitation. A BJP MP, Pratap Simha from Mysuru, issues the passes as if he does not know about what kind of people are they or what are they going to do inside the parliament. And with this way, anything can happen. You know, there is absolute no accountability, it appears. The security, my friend, the security expert was talking about the layers. They cross through all the layers. The physical frisking or the metal detectors. I had been visiting Parliament for several times, and they are very thorough in their checking. I don't know how come this kind of lapse has happened. But
no, that's exactly the question. Certainly, a lapse has happened, and accountability will have to be set, and heads will have to roll. We cannot have a precedent where something like this happens in broad daylight. But Tushar, you want to respond to what Ravi Srivastava is saying about the MPs? In this case, a BJP MP, I'm guessing that's why he's raising this question. But for example, any MP, can they be more careful? Should they also be more careful in dishing out passes?
No, of course, the MPs are very careful. It would be very incorrect to assume that any MP belonging to any party would just casually recommend someone for a visitor's pass. To, sort of narrow it down to the politics of the day would be very, very unfair. And Shivani, since we're talking about that, I must applaud the bravery displayed by the parliamentarians who were in the House at that point in nabbing the intruder. It was quite brave of what they did and how they nabbed that one man. So to play politics over it, I think it's very, very immature and uncalled for. Any MP, and I say this with all responsibility, any MP from any party would be very, very careful in issuing the pass. Of course, in this case, one cannot say that the Mysore MP was anyhow aware of what was going to transpire.
No, in any case, I don't think a parliamentarian will be one foolish enough to issue the pass to someone to do something like this, because it can be easily traced to you. That would be the most stupid thing to do. But if there can be more protocols introduced to ensure that some sort of greater scrutiny can be applied, there can be greater application of mind while you're issuing these passes, is a question that is open. Most parliamentarians today said that that's really not the fundamental issue, because we all issue passes. Public should be allowed to have access to Indian Parliament, and a lot of people want to come especially and visit the new Parliament. Colonel Dev, you wanted to come in very quickly?
Yes, just one point. I will not go into the politics of it, but the last part, which is the evacuation drill in a parliament.
Yes.
As that smoke, yellow smoke of incendiary was billowing there, somebody was packing his laptop bag, somebody was standing with his hand in his pockets. I think the parliamentarians need to be put through a course of evacuation drill. That SOP needs to be put in place, and there are many lacunae there as well. Today it was just an incendiary. Tomorrow it can be any poisonous gas. The chamber can be closed. I mean, you can't be so naive unless you are aware of what's happening actually.
Yes, Mr. Srivastava.
See, I just want to say that Mahua Moitra, who only shared her login ID with some outsider, has been sacked from the parliament. And here is a person who has issued the passes for people to enter inside.
No. They are not related. Let's not get something else here.
Apples and oranges. This is no comparison. This is not how you deal with the situation.
Nothing less.
No.
That is absolutely wrong.
If this MP is proven to be involved directly, he should be also booked for sedition. So wait for this investigation, because that recommendation come from your ethics committee. Don't mix and play politics in security matters. You all have this. You all have this problem as politicians or the stooges to bring in politics into everything.
Okay, let's mind our words. Let's not make any personal attacks. No, Tushar, I think there is while this is natural, because Mahua Moitra episode has just happened, and the report also mentioned that one of the reasons why she's been found to be guilty of the protocol or the ethics of parliamentarian was national security. But this is a difference between your action versus being held guilty for someone else's actions. While the parliamentarian in concerned here may have issued a pass, They cannot, this is not legal jurisprudence that they can't be held responsible for what that person does when inside Parliament. In Mahua Moitra's case, of course, she is guilty of her own actions
Directly.
of giving her login and password. So I'll leave that aside, but it's natural. It's natural in today's highly politicized world, Tushar, that these questions will be asked or these parallels will be drawn by politicians, or at least the opposition.
No, but is it correct? I mean, the opposition is free to draw all the parallels and they're doing it rather immaturely on social media. But is it fair to draw parallels on such a serious security matter? We are not talking about the security of one party's MP or a group of MPs. We are talking about the security of all the 540 Lok Sabha MPs and all the other Rajya Sabha MPs present in the House. For the opposition
so TMC
to make
is
it
the only
about
party
my
that has
MP versus
officially
your
kind of
MP
made
on
this
such a serious
tenuous
security
correlation.
matter is rather
But I
incorrect.
don't see other parties, even India Alliance parties, having done so just yet. In fact, I'm going to play out a conversation with Karti Chidambaram, Congress MP, who has actually kind of sidestepped this and said that no, the two issues should not be mixed, and the parliamentarian concerned here should not be the one, who should be hung in this case. But Mr. Rao, I want to take a word from you also on what needs to be done. Clearly there are lacunas, clearly there are problems, clearly there are issues. Access to Parliament is important for Indians, but same access can also be misused. What do you think should naturally follow here? Should there be a revision of the protocols that are employed today?
This incident has taken place, no doubt in that, and we should now, apart from blame gaming and doing it politicized, we should think why it should not have happened in future, and we should revamp the security SOP, standing operating procedures. As you rightly said, that everyone has a right to visit to Parliament under some certain guidelines. So those guidelines and that SOP should be followed strictly, and no MP can deny passes to anyone because he is the person from that locality and then from the constituency. He cannot deny, but he at the same time he also cannot watch for the person what he will do inside. But if somebody has done this thing, that now these persons should be interrogated thoroughly and the exemplary punishment should be done at a very early stage, so that there should be an eye opener to others. And so nobody should dare to do all these things.
Yeah, absolutely. A message has to be sent that Parliament security or the premises of Indian Parliament cannot be tampered with like this. I do thank all of our guests for joining us. Let me go across to some breaking updates now coming in. So remember, one of the decisions that has been taken already by the Lok Sabha Speaker is that the pass system, that visitors pass, have been suspended for now. In the all-party meeting that was held this late evening, the Lok Sabha Speaker was told by opposition MPs that steps need to be taken further. It was agreed that PA and PSs of MPs will not be allowed inside the Parliament premises anymore. Speaker has also assured the opposition MPs particularly that no visitor passes would be made till further orders. Let me also go across to my colleague Payal Mehta, who's been tracking this since this incident took place in Parliament today. Payal, what more are you learning?
The Lok Sabha Speaker is the custodian of Parliament. He's actually the boss of Parliament to speak in literal words. He has taken certain suo moto steps even without, before the meeting of the floor leaders with him. He has told them that confidently that yes, there will be a circular which will be issued sometime later this evening to tell you about new regulations in Parliament. To begin with, PSs will not be allowed inside Parliament. All visitor passes with immediate effect have been cancelled, whether it is coming through some ministry or is coming to some MP. So all of these steps are being taken proactively. The Lok Sabha Speaker will also be visiting the Parliament premises to have a thorough check in the next couple of hours is what we are given to understand. The Lok Sabha Speaker has also advised the Home Ministry to file an FIR in the Parliament Street Police Station. And most importantly, because certain MPs in the opposition, Shivani, objected to the media being present in Parliament, to which the Lok Sabha Speaker said that the media is a very essential step of democracy. We are the fourth pillar of democracy. So, there will be a designated space for the media to really stand because, on the front gate of Parliament from where all the MPs enter, it generally becomes very crowded when MP staff and probably visitors also gather over there. So all of these steps will be taken with immediate effect is what the Lok Sabha Speaker has been able to assure. And even the Parliament ended about 2 hours ago, the Lok Sabha Speaker is still in his office, is still holding multiple meetings in the wake of this issue.
Okay, Payal, we'll keep coming back to you for more. Thanks a lot for those updates for now. Also listen in to Karti Chidambaram, Congress MP, who was present in the House when this entire incident took place. His thoughts on what really happened in those moments and where have we gone wrong. Listen in. Karti, you were there. You, of course, have spoken to CNN News 18 earlier to talk about how serious and significant this security breach is, because that smoke bomb that was eventually used could have been any other form of powder or bomb. But I want to first begin by asking you, what were those moments like when you first realized that something like this has happened?
Initially, my reaction, I thought, was that somebody had fallen down from the visitors gallery. I thought an over-enthusiastic visitor had tipped over the railings and fallen down. That was my first reaction. As I was slated to speak, maybe 1 or 2 speakers later in the 0 hour, I was reviewing my notes and I heard a thud. And my reaction was that somebody had fallen down from the visitors gallery. But when he stood up and started jumping across the seats toward and running towards the speaker's chair, Mr. Rajendra Agarwal was in the speaker's chair. I realized that it was something much more than that, and I, along with many others, rushed towards him. By the time we reached him, he was overpowered by members in that area where he had jumped. But then he had pulled out a canister and emanated a yellow fume. And as he was doing that, another chap jumped down from the visitors gallery, and he did the same. As I said, the gas could have been something very lethal and toxic. It could have been sarin, it could have been anthrax, it could have been flammable. It could have been but it was an inert substance here at this instance. But the fact that if somebody can come in with a canister and let loose gas into this chamber, it raises very, very serious questions about the efficacy of the security protocols and the robustness of the system in Parliament.
You know, what has come under scrutiny, and I think there will be some sort of revisiting required now on this process, is the visitors' pass. Now, arguably, a lot of MPs issue these visitors' pass, and these gentlemen who entered inside Parliament had one on behalf of an MP. But clearly, it has exposed some lacunas.
I think you're focusing on the wrong aspect. You see, Parliament is the people's house. The citizens of this country have contributed in building this Parliament, and they have a right, and visitors must be allowed to come into Parliament.
I wasn't going to say that they shouldn't be allowed. I was just going to say that some lacuna has been found in how this process works, possibly.
No, the lacuna is the lacuna is in the security protocol of checking them and frisking them and having these scanners. This government always touts that they have imported some great technology to do scanners. They have face recognition software. They have all kinds of body scanners. What kind of scanner do they have in the Parliament? That's the question which must be asked.
No, not just the technology that they have, but is it always used, or are corners being cut when it comes to the screening of visitors? That's the question that arises today.
No, screening of visitors, the MP has got nothing to do with the screening of visitors.
I mean the screening physically on ground, Karti. Physically on ground, the metal detectors, the, checking of the visitors, what are they carrying? Certainly that has come under scrutiny, not just the technology that is used, but is it even being done for everyone?
That is the elephant in the room. That is the elephant. The elephant in the room is the physical screening and the technology deployed to physically screen people. I agree. MPs must also now be much more cautious in issuing visitor passes. They must make sure that they verify before they sign off on visitor passes. But that being aside, the real elephant in the room is the physical security of the building and the premises, and the alacrity and the robustness and the response time of the security staff. The response time was very, very sloppy. I mean, there was the response was very slow, and that's where we need to really be focusing on. I understand the fact of, let's not blame the entry pass as the culprit in this whole thing. That could be a factor. Maybe they could have exercised much more diligence in it, but the physical verification has to be done by the security staff, which is really Delhi Police, CRPF, etc.
No, I absolutely understand. I absolutely understand the distinction you're making. I was just about to point out that, these are avenues of access to the Parliament that can be misused by some, and therefore, even the visitors' pass, entire protocol could be relooked at. But you feel that's not the issue. Fair enough. I do want to ask you, in your experience,
see, even when you sign off on the visitor pass, they have to give an ID. The ID is checked. So it's not as if, see, the visitor pass is a very small part. The visitor pass, after the visitor pass, you still go through physical security barriers, and that is where which have technology and are manned by Delhi police and CRPF. That is where the problem is. Let's not,
so in your experience
from that and somehow blame.
No, fair enough. In your experience, as far as that on-ground security protocol is concerned, in your experience, what is lacking there? What would you like to see for it to be beefed up?
I am not a security expert. I am I'm sure there are people who know. But obviously, the scanners are not working. If somebody was suggesting these were plastic canisters, which means these scanners are not detecting plastic items brought in. If we are not detecting plastic canisters, you won't be able to detect plastic bombs. If you can recollect, the Unabomber had a plastic bomb in his shoe. So that means that the technology they are deploying is not good enough, is not cutting edge. And so that again pokes holes in this government's claims of being very strong on security and strong in investing in technology.
Okay. On the issue of the pass, which you are saying is not really the main focus here, it should not be. It should be the on-ground security protocols and how best they are deployed. I do want to say that your India Alliance partner, the TMC, has kind of equated this, that the fact that the pass was given by a BJP MP, Mr. Pratap, they have equated that to the Mahua Moitra episode, suggesting that if Mahua Moitra can be expelled for, bringing national security into doubt, then similar action should be taken. Do you agree with that?
No, I think that MP must definitely be asked about how he went about giving the pass to this particular person. But I know the practical ground realities and how passes work. I mean, sometimes you sign off passes even for other MPs or other people who come and who might not necessarily be from your constituency. You sign it off. So maybe then there should be a protocol saying that if you are signing off passes, it must be only for people from your own constituency. See, these are things which we can start strengthening it. But I said the elephant in the room is the physical and the technology deployed for security rather than more the pass. Yes, we can have certain protocols, but to somehow divert this whole thing onto the MP, I mean, in this instance, it's a BJP MP, and I still do not want to politic on that. And if it had been an MP from another political party, I know the predictable response from the BJP would have been, but I don't want to go down that path.
Okay, so you're saying there is no equivalence to be drawn, certainly not with the Mahua Moitra episode. Opinions on those episodes being notwithstanding.
Mahua Moitra should never have been expelled from Parliament. Mahua Moitra should have never been expelled from Parliament. I mean, I have waxed eloquent enough about it. The committee's findings were completely erroneous. It is unfortunate that the House relied on an erroneous report to expel her.
Okay.
So she should have never been expelled. So, I mean, leaving that aside, I don't want to put Pratap Simha under the bus, even though I might disagree with his politics. I don't wish to put him under the bus in this instance because I know practically how members sign off visitor passes.
I do want to ask, you were talking about how a lot of these parliamentarians rushed towards this intruder when they realized what was happening. In fact, a few of them caught him, maybe even gave him a few slaps, as we can see. That response from the parliamentarians itself is noteworthy, not really worried or scared, but actually they were the first line of defense today.
No, I think we all rushed in without understanding what it could have been. Even I rushed towards that spot where there was a big plume of gas. But it was, in hindsight, it wasn't the best thing to do. What if the gas was toxic?
Yes,
I wouldn't be here giving you this interview. So, but
well, we certainly hope nothing of that sort would ever happen.
At that moment, because at that time, we really thought it was just an, first we thought it was an accident for the first instant, and then it thought it was just a protester. We never, I in the wildest imagination didn't think that somebody could actually smuggle in a canister into Parliament. I didn't. So, because that is the kind of faith I had in the security, but obviously that faith has been completely broken today.
Having said that, while this is a wake-up call, and this also happened on the anniversary of the December 13 attack on Parliament over 2 decades ago, which was far, far more serious, it is a reminder that our Parliament continues to be vulnerable. Having said that, would you at least say as a parliamentarian yourself that there should be no politics played on this incident? That every party should be together in this?
Every party is together, but the responsibility lies with the government. Obviously, their claims of security and the claims of putting protocols and efficacy is hollow. I mean, there is apparently, I don't know for a fact, they say there are X number of parliamentary security staff sanctioned, but only so many are there. So I really don't know all that. It's really up to the government. The government can't brush this aside as a, you can't equate this with some sort of a black flag protest which happens normally when a politician is traveling elsewhere. This is a very, very serious issue. And if this gas had been toxic, the gas had been anthrax, sarin or flammable, the consequences here would be very, very fatal and tragic.
Yes.
I think, we have to just count our lucky stars that this did not go that path. And nobody is playing politics here. We are calling things as it stands. Where is the politics? In fact, I'm doing exactly the opposite. I'm not putting Mr. Pratap Simha under the bus, which should have been, I'm absolutely certain had this pass been signed off, say, for example, by me, do you really think the BJP would have been charitable? And if it had been signed off by say a Muslim MP, I know including many television channels would have evoked every Middle Eastern terrorist organization as part of this. So I know the predictable reaction of the BJP, but I don't want to go on that path. I don't want to put Mr. Pratap Simha under the bus without knowing the full facts. I know how people sign off MP visitors passes. The real problem is the physical security and the technology deployed to screen people.
Right.
Hello, Moto.
Co-powered by. The parliament is said to be the color bomb that is usually used on Holi. This is what the police are saying. Those officers who are on spot and they have conveyed it to senior officials that initially it has been found that these were color bombs that have been used inside the parliament. But the police are saying that they are still to verify whether it was only color bombs and what was the intention behind it. Because see, police are saying that as far as initial investigation is concerned, they have only found color bombs here, which are usually used on Holi festival. But there are senior officials at spot. Some persons have also been detained, and police are trying to find out what are these bombs actually, whether or not, because it is also being said that a matchstick was used to fire them. So how did these things get inside? That will also come into the picture. But initial point is to find out if anyone has been, if any injury has been sustained by anyone. First of all, then what was the object used? Police are saying that it could be in all possibility just the color bombs, and also police will rule out all other dangers that could be. And so the police force has been moved towards the parliament. The security men who were there on the cordon and also on the inside are at the spot right now. The spot is being inspected in detail, and police will come out with more details. But initial, the duty of the police would here be to cordon the entire area and to find out exactly what elements were used and whether or not any other person has sustained any injury. Eventually, a case will also be registered if need be, and if anything dangerous is found. Because even if it was a color bomb and a matchstick was used to light it, Explosive Act will be enforced here, and those who have been, those who have been detained, their roles will be further examined, and then initially the police action will be initiated, or the FIR, whatever legal action will be required, that will be done. But the police senior officers that are on the spot, they are telling right now that the primary focus is to find out if anyone has sustained injury and what was these holy bombs that the police are saying that had been used inside the parliament, and how big is the security breach that has been.
News now, there seems to be a security breach in the Lok Sabha, ladies and gentlemen, where a person has jumped from the visitors gallery of the Lok Sabha. That's the piece of breaking news that's coming in. We'll try to get some more details, but what we are learning is that there seems to have been a security breach in the Lok Sabha where a person has jumped from the visitors gallery. That's the latest that's coming in from Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. That's the big piece of breaking news, where there seems to have been a security breach in the lower house of Parliament where a person has jumped from the visitors gallery. We'll try to get some more details when it comes to what has happened inside Parliament, but what we are learning is that a person seems to have jumped from the visitors gallery. This is a huge security breach in the Lok Sabha, and also we've got access to those visuals. We'll play them out very soon for you. There seems to have been a security breach in the Lok Sabha where a person has jumped from the visitors gallery. This is a huge piece of news that's coming in, where the breach has also been caught on camera, where a person has jumped from the visitors gallery in the Lok Sabha. That's the piece of news that's coming in. Those visuals will get you very soon, ladies and gentlemen, where a massive security breach has now been reported from the lower house of parliament, where a person has jumped from the visitors gallery. Remember, the visitors gallery open to members of the public, but they go through a massive security vetting when it comes to entering the lower house of parliament. Now what we are learning is that a person has jumped from the visitors gallery. Those visuals on your screen, where it seems that a person has jumped from the visitors gallery. A massive security breach, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to the proceedings inside the house. Those visuals on your screen, where it seems you can see the person just jumping from the benches, jumping from the visitors gallery, then jumping across the benches. Those visuals on your screen, where the person, as you can see, the security officials are also trying to chase him down, to corner him, and to contain him and to restrain him, as the person is jumping across the benches. A massive security breach inside Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. Those dramatic visuals on your screen, you can see the person jumping from the visitors gallery and then just jumping across those benches, and as he is being cornered by those security officials. I'm joined by my colleague Payal Mehta on the broadcast, who's getting us this piece of breaking news. Payal, give us the details.
Well, I'm going to just tell you some details, and I'm joined by a member of parliament from the YSR Congress, Mr. Sanjeev Kumar, who was there on the floor of the house, and we'll ask him what really happened. So, what really happened?
The two youths, they jumped from the gallery into the hall, into the house. So they have lit two crackers. They were around 15 centimeters length, and they were yellow in color. It was throwing out huge fumes. We were terrified that it could be some poisonous gas, and we were also terrified that it could be some bomb. So immediately our colleague members of parliament and security people overpowered them, and both the people were dragged out of the house.
Any idea, were they shouting out any slogans? Did they shout slogans against?
Yeah, they were shouting, but we could not. It was not clear for us. So we were all concentrating on the thing in their hand. We thought they were trying to throw it at some person, and one short fellow, he was trying to go to the speaker. So immediately some Lok Sabha member, he was a Sikh, he immediately overpowered him, and he was dragged outside.
Is this something like this that one has seen for the longest in parliament? Because I don't remember seeing anything like this in parliament ever.
No, I have never seen, we have never heard, and this is very serious security breach, and even people who we get, they don't allow anything.
But this person was trying to hide something in his shoe. Is that something that happened?
Maybe he has taken one matchstick from the shoe and then he lit the cracker.
All right, Ayushman, an eyewitness speaking to us, telling us what really happened. It's a major breach, never in the history of parliament. Because, Ayushman, whenever we also enter parliament, we are thoroughly checked. Everything is checked. All our equipment are checked.
Welcome back. Let's get you the other big story we're tracking today, and that's coming in from Kerala, where Sabrimala temple is witnessing a heavy rush, higher than usual, of pilgrims this year. Due to this, devotees were seen standing in line for about 8 to 10 hours for darshan. The situation also became so bad, or was taking so long, that a minor has also died while standing in the queue. Now, BJP and Congress have gone all guns blazing against the Kerala government, staging protests against them for court mismanagement. Kerala police had to use water cannons earlier today to disperse the crowd. Later, a review meeting was also conducted over the issue, and Chief Minister has denied any lapses. Even Kerala police held a briefing and stated that the situation is very much under control, at least as of now. But let me take you through what did transpire as far as the Sabri Hills are concerned. So an 11-year-old has died after falling unconscious. This happened earlier. This is being alleged because of the very high waiting time that was witnessed by many devotees. She was also battling a disease since the age of 3 and was pronounced dead at hospital. Now, poor parking facilities and a shortage of KSRTC buses has also been reported. There are visuals of buses being crammed and people not having enough avenues to get their ride. Many jumped barricades, which led to a stampede-like situation as well, and could have been pretty bad on ground. Some devotees say they had to wait in queue for 8 to 10 hours. As I said, there was an uncontrollable rush for the pilgrimage, especially near the holy steps. Few also say that they had to return without doing any darshan because of this heavy rush. And the questions, of course, are being asked because this is an annual pilgrimage and this is one of the most devout pilgrimages that many people make. Why was there not ample advance notice or care taken? A political war broke out. Opposition parties in Kerala attacking the Vijayan government. Now, this is what they are saying and what the response of the government has been. Now, the BJP has said that there have been appallingly poor facilities at Sabri Hills. The Chief Minister has only stated that sudden surge, which is what they're claiming, in pilgrims has triggered this rush, that this is much more than they are used to. Otherwise, to this year, it has been just higher number of devotees. Now, the number of devotees has apparently jumped from 62,000 to 1,20,000 in a day. BJP also claimed that this is the LDF government sabotaging the Sabrimala pilgrimage. They are assigning motives to it. The Vijayan-led government, or he himself, has said that there has been uncontrollable increase and that can lead to accidents which are beyond anybody's control. Congress also has slammed Vijayan, claiming that Kerala government is utterly careless and lack of planning has resulted in this. The Vijayan government is saying that 220 crore rupees have been allotted in the last 7 years by the government. More than 11,000 policemen have been deployed. So there was no lapse on their part. It's just that the numbers went up by quite a bit. Congress also says that there is no scientific crowd management techniques that are being used by the Kerala government, while the Vijayan government says that there is just heavy rush and there's not much can be done. But booking slots through virtual queue, which is one of the avenues employed, has now been capped at 80,000 per day so that they can have some semblance of the control that the government needs to have in this situation. The question we ask is simply this: did the Kerala government indeed fail to make adequate arrangements given the importance of this pilgrimage?
The record goes to maximum pilgrims came on Tuesday. It was 90,000, and today the spot booking for the darshan has registered on 77,000.
What actually the devotees need is only they want water, food, accommodation. All these basic amenities they require. But the government and Devasam board, they are denying these basic amenities and facilities.
The present situation is also already very huge crowd, but it is under control.
Vinita Hariharan is spokesperson of BJP Kerala, joining us. Deepa Iswar is an activist. Saira Shah Halim is author and activist and has fought elections on behalf of the CPM in the past. So, Saira, I will begin with you. You know, there's a natural question that is being raised by many. The amount of money that state governments in India get from Hindu temples, it doesn't seem like in Kerala, at least, they're giving the same back or the same amount of attention that such an important pilgrimage like the Sabrimala pilgrimage deserves in Kerala.
Yes. So firstly, good evening, Shivani. Firstly, it's not at all a communal issue as being alleged because political parties are trying to take a mileage out of this very sorry state of affairs. And I'll also like to laud the Kerala government for managing such an unprecedented rush and ensuring that there was no loss of life. We've seen how in the past, we have witnessed loss of lives in various religious sites, because here we need to understand that, there was an average of about 62,000 people that visited the shrine. And within 6 days, the numbers have increased manifold.
But isn't that the responsibility of the state government? Isn't that the responsibility of the state government to be prepared or to manage it?
So that is what I'm saying. So now what the Kerala government is doing, the authorities have decided to extend the evening darshan to 1 more hour. And because if you see, the evening darshan starts from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. and as per the new decision, the darshan will start from 3 p.m. because we are seeing an unprecedented rush, which was not expected because
But
the
I
first
get that,
19
Saira.
days.
This is a post
Right.
facto stock taking by the government. The question that people are asking, and some of the visuals are quite heartbreaking of what has transpired. There may not have been loss of life, but people were seen, just not being able to get water in this very testing pilgrimage. Young children were, getting lost, getting separated from their parents. There weren't enough arrangements. That's a basic fact.
Yeah, I agree with you that the arrangements should have been taken into cognizance, considering that we are dealing with such a huge astronomical number. And as we have witnessed that whether it is 2022, 2022, we saw that there were 12 people dead, in the stampede at Vaishno, what do you call, Vaishno Devi in J&K. Then in 2016, 24 people died. They were hurt in a stampede in Varanasi. So we don't, so I'm sure the Kerala government does not want any mishap. And cognizance has been taken. But yes, the numbers have been unprecedented. They can be better management.
They could have been better managed, but there is no point in, attributing motives. Let me go across to Vinita Hariharan on this, because the BJP is somehow projecting is as a lackadaisical attitude from the left government purely because this is a Hindu pilgrimage.
No, I don't think we should go, on those lines. But beyond politics and beyond, religion and beyond all of this, there is this whole, the witness. We witnessed this entire fiasco that happened in Sabrimala today. It's a complete lapse of, of processes that has happened on the ground in Sabrimala by the Devasam board, by the Travancore Devasam board. And, considering that they get about 255 crore of revenue from Sabrimala alone, the Devasam board gets this kind of revenue. Where is all that money going? Where are the facilities in Sabrimala? Where are the basic amenities? There was a master plan that was prepared for Sabrimala for 30 crore. 100 crore was the amount that the government of India gave for Swadeshi Darshan under the Swadeshi Darshan program to Sabrimala. Out of that, 80 crore lapsed because the government could not give any proposal worth its salt to the central government, and 20 crore was what that was captured in the master plan, but all of that has just not been implemented. People are still suffering from lack of water, lack of basic amenities, solid waste management. All of these are basic issues in the town itself, in the temple town. So that's one. Second is about this crowd management. So crowd management is a very essential feature in a pilgrim site like Sabrimala, where devotees from across the state, across the globe, across the country come in. So I think the government has to be prepared for any kind of eventuality.
Yeah.
You cannot just say that you will be working within a framework of just 52,000 pilgrims every year. What happens if there is a surge? You have to be prepared for such tsunami crowds as well. So that is the job of the government. That is the job of the Devasam board. If they can't do it, then let us know, and then the centre will intervene, and we will get facilities in place in the Sabrimala, which is beyond excellence. Look at the way that those temple towns have developed. You have to get private players in place. You have
No, that's correct actually. A lot of what was witnessed in many other pilgrimage sites or holy sites where lakhs of people used to come. By the way, comparing it to some other sites, possibly a little bit wrong, because the numbers that some of these other sites get on a daily basis is much higher than Sabrimala. Sabrimala is a planned, specific period of the year kind of pilgrimage. You cannot have any excuses for not being better prepared. But Deepa, I want to understand from you, was the Kerala government caught napping according to you? Their excuse is that, see, the surge was too much and nobody saw it coming. But should they have? Deepa, that question is for you. Can you hear me? Oh, looks like we don't have the line with Deepa, but I'll try and get her back. Saira, you want to respond to that? So much money that has been assigned by the central government. The Chief Minister is also saying we've given upwards of 200 crores. Questions will be asked, where are they going? Because it doesn't look like, from devotees' experience, that actually a lot of those facilities, rest areas, etc. have come up.
Yes. So, Shivani, you're right in a way that the Chief Minister of Kerala, Mr. Vijayan, needs to, of course, review the situation because this is an unprecedented rush of Sabrimala devotees, and there will be traffic snarls, there will be long queues, there will be this unprecedented rush of people, the devotees. So, there has to be an alternative arrangement. I agree with that. However, if you've seen, there are a lot of people who are spreading a lot of hatred and vitriol, which is not the truth. Like there was this video footage of a child who was separated from his father for a very long time, and the police did its utmost to ensure that the child meets his parents. However, there were a lot of handles who were spreading hatred, and they kept retweeting the same thing. When the issue has been resolved, I feel there's no need to spread communal hatred.
You're right about that. Any kind of fakery over any incident, that needs not be allowed, and state governments and our governments are empowered enough to act on that. That is not a defense for what has transpired on ground. And what is also not a defense is that worse could have happened or worse happens in the past and hasn't happened today. I have final minutes left. Vinita, you want to respond to what the Chief Minister himself has said? One, he has said there are no lapses. Secondly, that this was an unprecedented rush. Nobody could have seen it coming. And we have done enough. He's saying we've given upwards of 200 crore rupees. Actually, just hold your thought, Vinita ji. Deepa is with me. She couldn't speak earlier. Deepa, I want to understand from you. Was the Kerala government caught napping, or as the Chief Minister says, they've done enough over the last few years?
No, I guess, it's heartbreaking to see any sort of, poor crowd management, because I'm from Kerala, a state that recently witnessed an unfortunate incident at the Cochin University of Science and Technology, where there was a huge stampede and we know what happened. So it's very difficult to see these visuals as such, because where there is a crowd, people come there with a lot of expectations. Especially you talk about Sabrimala. The pilgrimage itself is such a difficult task, because it's not just visiting any temple. They take like so much of the vratas and all of that, and then they get there, and then having to go through this sort of a mishap. Who is to be questioned? I mean, there is absolutely no justification from the government side, because we have seen the government exceptionally interested in the Sabrimala temple in occasions in the past, which was totally unnecessary. But when there are like huge actual problems out there,
where is your attention?
Escaping. Yes, that's exactly what me as a devotee, because I've always been a huge devotee of Lord Ayyappa, and I've been closely following whatever happens at Sabrimala, and it really breaks my heart to see that the government who was supposed to take care of things, they actually try to, their attention is totally on the wrong.
Yeah, more on the activism and the politics, but not really when it comes to actually taking care of the devotees. In the past, in fact, they have flip-flopped also on their stand over the Sabrimala women's entry issue. Vinita, I have
exactly.
Yes, Deepa, quickly, 10 seconds.
The government really needs to look at exactly, see, there are a lot of justifications, the change of police people, the number of virtual bookings. So what are they doing as a solution to all of this? It's not about just pacifying the media, but what are they actually doing?
Vinita, 10 seconds to you as well. Your demands from the CPM government.
Yeah, I think the government cannot be in denial of the lapses. They have to accept this, and they have to work, immediate intervention is required. And also, we need to know what is happening to all the funds that is given to the Devasam board, and when are we going to see the light of the day with reference to the implementation of these projects that were sanctioned by the central government for Sabrimala.
All right, I leave it at that. Important questions there being raised. Is the heart in the right place when it comes to taking care of the devotees of Sabrimala, or was it always more inclined towards the politics when it comes to this shrine? I leave it on that note. Time for me to take your leave. My colleague Rahul Shivshankar is joining you on the other side.
Viewers, it could have been worse. We are fortunate that the intruders were not carrying anything more deadly than smoke munitions. A can of sarin nerve gas or any other toxin could have led to a mass tragedy. The intrusion shouldn't have happened. Not to a powerful nation with the world's second largest standing army, and certainly not to a nation where the dispensation wags its finger at those who dare to eyeball India. And lest we forget, there are plenty of dysfunctional nuclear-tipped neighbors who who are looking to exploit any signs of weakness. And weakness there is. Indeed, today's breach of Parliament is a disquieting confirmation of a persisting laxity at the heart of the Indian state's security apparatus. The two men found that weakness. Look at them, jumping across row upon row of seats as flabbergasted MPs look on in shock. Look at them, viewers. Who could have imagined these scenes? Two absolute, unidentified, random individuals leaping out of the visitors' gallery onto the floor of the Lok Sabha, bolting across the rows of seating. The two in the house had at least two more accomplices outside, and you can see them in the middle of your screens and on the extreme right of your screens as they were detained by the police. But it was all too late. From the slogans they were shouting, it appeared they were frustrated with the lack of jobs. Whatever their motivations, viewers, they have exploited that loophole that gave them access to India's cradle, viewers. Manoranjan, aged 35 from Mysuru. Sagar Sharma, unknown age, we don't know where he hails from. Neelam, age 42 from Hisar. Amol Shinde, age 25 from Latur in Maharashtra. All four are part of a larger module. That is what we are told.